All right. Morning. I'm so excited to be here today. It's a very unique opportunity every year that Al has the pleasure of inviting me and introducing me. He always has some witty introduction. Today was the one and only. But more importantly, it's about you. And it's about this industry, it's about where it's going, and it's about the building blocks of the future of innovation. And it's really important to recognize that that video was talking about one aspect of that because it's so prominent, which is about sustainability. And our role as an industry to soar responsibly is a theme that Embraer has embraced. And that is on the backbones of all of what the industry is doing to try to reduce carbon footprint. But it is only one of the many innovations. So today's presentation is to talk a little bit about building blocks of engineering innovation. And the important aspect of that is to recognize that this is essential to growing the future products inside this industry. And Embraer takes this seriously. And we do that by building on three critical pillars of how we think about innovation. So the first one is you have to have excellence in engineering. And I talked about this last year in regards to what does that unlock, right? When you start to think about, it's not about today's products. It's not about today's customers. It's not about today's maintenance support. It's about where is the market going and how do you have like seeing around corners to allow that engineering efficiency and excellence to unlock the potential. When you think about what we think of customer-centric philosophies, it's very human-centered, and it's getting more bespoke. You have to have opportunities that dictate how the customer is connected with the airplane, connected with the operation, connected with the ecosystem. It's really critical to realize you have to have a philosophy to transform the air travel mobility system in the future. You can't just put another airplane in the marketplace. It's not that simple anymore. You could do that in the past. Today, you have to be very focused on great engineering, super efficiency, how you build something, low-cost operations, higher fuel efficiency of the product propulsion systems, greater connectivity of the customer experience, bespoke lifestyle engagement with your customer. It's really, really important. When you look at the screen's not working here, by the way. When you look at the next concept is building the storyboard for, okay, now that you have those baselines of defining innovation, what do you do with it? You got to put it in performance, you got to put it in technology, you got to put it in the comfort of the aircraft, and you have to recognize that if the airplane breaks, you got to have top-rank support. Because if you put all this technology of innovation in the product and the service and the ecosystem, it has to work, right? And it's critical to recognize that you have to have unmatched performance, best in class. You have to have the best disruption in technology. And that's where you're going to see a lot of the innovation in the future. Recognizing that comfort is being redefined because it's going to become more and more home-like, office-like, real-life experiences on the airplane. End-to-end ecosystems. When you look at that transformative innovation, you recognize that it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of resources, and most importantly, a lot of investment dollars. And we are very focused on 7 different unique innovation verticals. And the video talked about the first one in great depth. And it talked about our commitment as a company, and more importantly, the commitment of all of us as an industry, to recognize that you're not going to get to net zero 2050 without a lot of resources and investment dollars to transform the ecosystem of how we propel. 100% SAF, step 1. 100% electric, step 2. Then hybrid is critical. You put your 100% electric fuel into a 100% a SAF, you put those together, and now you have hybrid electric propulsion cell. And then you transform that in the future to hydrogen to go farther distances. All 4 of those are being developed and unlocked right now. It's creating a greener future for how we look at the marketplace. And you see it right now with Eve and air mobility and eVTOL and all the competitors that are in that space, because that's the first step. getting the batteries, getting the technology to perform these mission profiles sustainably. Because it's great that we have 100% SAF. And we've tested it on the Phenom 300. We've tested it on the 600. It works. We have the capability to deliver 100% SAF fuel, but it's still fuel. So how do you take the next leap to create green future, net zero future? So yes, it's a bridge to get there, but it's going to take us a long time to really unlock the potential of green ecosystem. When you look at pieces of green, it is an innovation. Autonomous flight is a big part of that. So let's take a look at a deeper dive. There, now the screens are working. So when you look at autonomous flight, recognize that this is an amazing opportunity to transform safety and human factors using technology. And we are trying to do that by simplifying how the airplane operates. The airplane's a very complex ecosystem in the sky. And so if you can recognize that and you try to simplify the opportunity for the pilots to fly the aircraft, you improve safety, you improve operating efficiencies, you improve takeoffs, landings, routing, traffic management, all built on and driven by the innovation associated with autonomous. And it's going to take time. You're going to start with simplified flight, then you're going to have simplified vehicle operations, then you're going to have the ability for you to have virtual support with airplane manager type folks and technology supporting it on the ground and in the air until you have opportunities to actually remove a pilot from the marketplace. Now, those pilots are going to be flying more, so they don't lose their job. They have the opportunity now to fly a lot more aircraft and a lot more frequency and a lot more capabilities because you're going to have the technology supporting that in a safe, reliable, predictable, maintainable way. When you look at the ability for that to unlock, you have to recognize technology's on the cusp of pretty exciting things in AI and data science, and recognize that we have to tailor these things to the customer so that they have the experience that they want. And it happens in several ways. One is inside of the airplane, how the airplane talks to the customer, how you talk to the airplane. It happens from the ground to the airplane. It happens from the satellites to the airplane. It happens from the airplane to the maintenance centers. And as Ken talked about yesterday, apparently catering. So there's a lot to be done in regards to engaging the ecosystem through data science and designing it for the bespoke experience for your customer. And if we do that, we're also simplifying the cost structure of the airplane. We're simplifying the connectivity of experiences that the customer has to be more productive, which is a business use that is essential for business aviation travel. There's so much exciting things that have the opportunity to connecting the digital ecosystem with the customer experience. And if we can do that in a manner that sees the future opportunities for all types of travel, so no matter what airplane they're on, what type of aircraft that they are flying on, the experience is the same, and it's very bespoke at the highest level. When you think about this, you recognize that industry is going through this transformation of how things are built. And in the past, it was all metals and bolts and fabrics and woods, right? And that's all you saw. So it was manual and robotic. Well, how do you bring this digital age to the next step? And that's Industry 4.0. Now you're trying to connect the capabilities of 3D printing, AI science, big data, predictive technologies. So we have programs like AHEAD, which says aircraft maintenance is needed. You have programs like ROAS, which is a very integrated technological safety envelope for landing on the aircraft. Runway overrun awareness and alerting systems, critical to the safety of the aircraft. These are all integrations of technology that allow for greater opportunities. So you're looking at analytics of all types of data, and now you're trying to use that data to unlock the innovations of how you deliver that product to the customer. And it's getting really exciting to see what's coming out of this sector that is unlocking potential for how things are built, how things are experiencing, and most importantly, the data you get, the collection of the data that you get that allows you to analyze and predict things on more of a concierge level so they tie into that experience. Very exciting to see how this is going to go. When you move on to the airplane itself, which not forget, you still need the airplane, is all about material sciences. So now, why does it have to be a tube and a wing? Why does it have to be aluminum? Why do you need windows? You heard that from Ken yesterday, right? Why do all these things exist in today's technology? Well, that's because we built it that way for the last 60, 70 years in business aviation. But these things can transform. So looking at composites, looking at transformative materials, looking at the ability for translucent interactions with types of metals, trying to remove windows and creating a more virtual integration of what you can see that is more like a smartphone. So why can't you have a smart airplane? And what are the things that you can do to integrate that? Now, the key to that is, are you still going farther? Are you still going faster? And most importantly, are you going greener? So as you're looking at all of these characteristics of competitiveness, you have to go fast. Maybe it's transonic. Maybe it's supersonic. Maybe it's blended body wing like Jet Zero's doing with NASA and with the commercial marketplace. There's opportunities to unlock potential in regards to how the product is made. There's a lot of work being done on composites. There's a lot of work being done on different types of materials that allow us to be greener in how we build the airplane and greener how the airplane operates in the sky, while still maintaining speed and while still maintaining the productive performance analytics of the aircraft. Next one is most critical to our brand because our vision is talking about delivering the ultimate experience in business aviation. Okay, and that's a lofty goal. That's something you keep working towards, like Mount Everest. You have to get to the pinnacle. So in order to do that, you have to pay attention to what happens with that customer experience, and it's changing. The things they need, the things they want, the things they desire, and having it all seamlessly integrated into the aircraft and into the ecosystem of how they operate, and have it be personalized. So every time, it's just for them. And we'd say, well, yeah, fractional does that now. Yes, they do. But how do you do that in charter and fractional and ownership and corporate flight departments and every aspect of the business that is out there with membership to create a democratization, but keep the highest standard of the lifestyle experience for the customer? It has to be personalized. It has to be bespoke. It has to be seamless. There can never be a break in how communication works. You walk from your office, from your car, on the airplane. Well, how does that work? And then when you want to charge something, do you put it down and it actually just charges on the airplane like it does at the house? Like, how do you create all these integrations that are seamless for the customer so that the experience is at the heightened level? And as you see in the photo, it's also about the communal human nature that takes place on the airplane. The airplane is a bespoke opportunity for lots of business to happen, a lot of personal engagement to happen, and you have to have that environment be quiet, efficient, low cost, and serve the customer on the airplane. So there's so much going into this topic of passenger experience. And we're learning more from the data that we're collecting from all the digital analytics that the airplane and the customers are providing. And we're using that data to develop advisory boards, and those advisory boards tell us, what airplane do you build next that has all these innovations embedded in it? So you're not just saying, I'm going to go build a bigger airplane or a smaller airplane, or I think I'm going to sell it for this customer or that customer. You're doing this innovation work with these resources, with customer feedback that allows for you to make sure that when you enter the market with something new, it is going to not only be sold, it's going to be successful, but it's going to transform the air travel ecosystem of the future. Lastly, the last piece of the equation. It is getting dangerous out there in terms of all things security, safety, privacy, and how do you protect all this data in this digital world? So if you're going to use all this technology from zero emissions and autonomous flight and aircraft competitiveness and all the AI and data science and all the industry creation analytics that can go into the aircraft and the passenger experience, now you got to protect it. This is a real risk to this industry. It's happening today on protecting IP at the baseline and engineering drawings that go into building aircraft. But it's also, now that you're doing all this connectivity with the aircraft, how do you protect the data from the ground, the sky, the satellites, and engage with the individual companies and personal folks on the airplane? It's an exciting opportunity, but it's also a very dangerous opportunity. We have to bring all these innovations together in a very thoughtful way so that we can push forward, as the video said, and try to soar responsibly in the future of air traffic, the future of safety, the future of personalized customer experience. I'm very excited about what Embraer is doing. Today, the focus was about what are the building blocks in your business? The focus has to be about innovating for the future, not about solving today's sales transaction. It's about trying to unlock the potential for what people are going to need in the decades ahead, and do so in a very responsible way. And with that, I will close and see if Al has any questions for me to address. I can see you, Al, but I can't see anybody else.
That's fine. We've got two questions from the audience, which are quite similar. One is, how will AI change the cockpit, at least initially, and how fast for business aviation? And the other one is, how quickly will autonomous flight enter the market, and on what type of aircraft?
Yeah, so great question. So yeah, the construct of AI right now is trying to recognize that there is opportunities for safety. There's opportunities for looking at how to predict something using digital technology that cannot necessarily be always recognized by human factors in the pilot, right? So what can you use the digital ecosystem to provide to the pilot so that the pilot makes better decisions? And how do you simplify that so all of the data that's currently in the glass screens that are currently communicating with them through technology, you now have to start saying, what can you add value to and provide information for to allow them to make better decisions? That's the first step you'll see, is about decision in critical situations, decisions in complex situations, decisions in life or safety situations, and having that technology add value. Because that's exactly what you do with predictive wind shear. That's exactly what you do with the technologies that we're already incorporating. We're using these things now in very small applications. So how can you then unlock the potential to help the pilot in all situations going forward? So that's probably what you'll start to see more first, is those kinds of predictive things. The second topic is really like, where is it going to start? Well, it's going to most likely start when there's no one on the airplane. You might see it in humanitarian relief. You might see it in firefighting. You might see it in the responses to lots of things that are happening, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. You're going to see those types of things first. You'll see it in cargo, because that'll be the first applications that you'll see in terms of transforming. Look at Zipline. Look at all the companies that are already trying, like Walmart. There's companies trying to use autonomous, trying to use AI, trying to use things for their products to start. That's where it's going to evolve from there to passenger configuration. And then most likely where you'll see first passengers configuration is as eVTOL matures, because it's being built based on autonomous now, even though it won't start that way. That'll be another first step in terms of first movers for that space.
Great. We've got two more questions. Heather Gordon is asking, can you expand on what innovations you were taking in terms of cyber security?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We're just getting started on cyber security in terms of innovations. What we're right now trying to protect is baseline, right? So baseline is IP technology. So data is being communicated to the airplane, and data is being communicated from the airplane to us, right? For safety, for management, for maintenance. So the first thing is we're trying to do is, how do you protect the envelope of data that is just being communicated back and forth at first? Then with LEO and GEO and all of the satellites development that's happening to help our connectivity, now you have to recognize you have to then support that whole ecosystem throughout the entire trip of the airplane. So most of these things are point to point, where there's a download or an upload. How do you keep it safe throughout its entire envelope of the travel system? So these are some things that we're going to start with, and then it will develop from there.
And then a similar question from Ali Kartal. How do you handle privacy issues when collecting data?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a challenge in terms of the data right now, because it's all about the plane and it's how it's being used, right? So the question now is, when the envelope of data becomes larger than that and it becomes more individualized, then we have to recognize there's going to be some protections that are going to have to be put in place. And the teams are looking at how to do that, just like you would on your technology data systems for laptops and other digital equipment. There's a lot of work being done in terms of how to connect safety, privacy, security, not only from our point of view as the intellectual property creator, but from the customer's point of view. And you have to keep both in mind. I know you're tight on time, so.
No, don't worry, unless you want to stop.
No, I'm fine. It says 3 minutes, so.
You've got, Craig Picken is asking, we're asking kids to spend a lot of money on flight training.
Kids
what are
on
we going to tell them
flight
in 10
training?
years if it's going to be autonomous?
Yeah, so somehow we have this assumption that because the airplane is going to go autonomous, we need less pilots. And I think that's false. Like, you have to recognize that what you're trying to do is unlock the ecosystem for travel, because there's going to be more assets flying. And all of the Eve and Eve-like mobility is just one segment of it. But I think there's going to physically be more assets flying, which means more pilots, not necessarily less pilots, simply because something is autonomous. So I think there's opportunity to recognize it's not for the entire ecosystem. Not every airplane is going to be autonomous. Not every application is going to be autonomous. But unlocking the potential for it is actually going to allow us to have exciting opportunities for training pilots, exciting opportunities for training youth. Workforce today, they want to work on these innovations. They talk to us at Embry-Riddle about these innovations. They want to be on projects in the research park to try to develop these innovations. So it's not about the fear of whether a pilot, he or she's in the left or right seat. It's about how the airplane and technologies of innovation are really unlocking the potential for the future, and the kids are loving it.
Do we have any old school comments or questions with a microphone? Anyone who's not managed to log into Slido? Okay, Mike, we've got a lovely one here. What feedback from advisory boards have you received that has surprised you?
What do you think, Alvady? Let's see. Alvady runs these things. Surprised? I guess pleasantly surprised is where I'll go. They so want us to do something new. So I think they're anxious, and they're saying, not only do you have the right to play, you have the right to win, so we're excited for it, and that's a nice feeling to have. So I'm pleasantly surprised that they want us to do something big.
Okay, my question, which is one I know you don't want. You've had your best ever quarter, third quarter last.
Correct.
You've had your best ever 9 months.
Correct.
As business aviation. Are you tempted to increase production next year?
Yeah, so this question always comes up, right? So we have, if you read in the third quarter results, which were just published last week, it shows that we're investing $90 million in our production facilities in both Melbourne and in Brazil. That should give you a glimpse into your question. That we're not satisfied with where we are, despite how great it's been. We're going to continue to develop the capability to serve our customer.
And then a nasty one from the audience. Oh no, I've put the wrong one up. Someone had said, do you have any comments on Ken Riki's view of the assassins of the industry?
Yeah, so first of all, he had way more stories to tell in regards to that topic. I think there's a lot of opportunities to recognize that the purpose of talking about the assassins is to recognize it's our incumbent responsibility to try to look for the opportunities to protect this industry in every way. And so I look at the positive side of that. I think it was very enlightening, and I think there's many more stories that we recognize. What was he really saying? It's about, you better be looking, play chess, not checkers. You got to look ahead and recognize this industry's changing, and there's those allies and adversaries coming at you all the time. And our job is to look for opportunities to protect this industry, to protect the people who work in this industry, and recognize that we have the opportunity to soar responsibly in regards to the future of the market. And I think he unlocked some new ideas for us to think about.
Brilliant. Michael, thank you so much.
Thanks.